Hello guys, TylerTheGamer here. Today we doing podcast number 4. Because we done podcast number 1, 2, 3, and 1 from yesterday. So we're doing it today. And it's a Sunday weekend, so I'm not really doing much. But if you guys enjoy, please leave a like, subscribe for more content, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out any video uploads. Comment below if you have any questions, any suggestions on what you'd like to see next. By all means, like I said, let's just get in with the video.
A few years back, I worked at Walmart as an assistant manager. I was working a 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift, and the overnight manager called off sick. So I stayed until 4 a.m. so someone working mornings could come in early and we could have it covered. Anyway, it was February in northern Illinois. The temperature outside at 2 a.m. was about 6 degrees. At about 2:30, I get a call over the walkie-talkie to come up to the pharmacy and that you've got to see this. I went up to the pharmacy and see two younger guys. One was dressed in a lifeguard's outfit complete with a thick coating of sunscreen on his nose. The other was dressed in a complete walrus costume. I have followed these guys through the store to make sure that they weren't going to do anything stupid like pull fire alarms, and caught up with what everyone was doing stocking shelves. I lost contact with them because they weren't bothering anyone and just went about my business. About half an hour later, I make my way up to the front registers and ask the cashier if she had seen the lifeguard and the walrus. She said that not only did she see them, but they made a purchase. The lifeguard found some sunscreen in the clearance aisle, and the walrus got a pack of salmon from the seafood department. They paid with cash and went on their way. Number 14. I was a customer service manager, or CSM, for 3 or 4 years. CSMs are in charge of the cashiers, stockmen, and surprisingly customer service. Most of it was fine, nothing special. People wanting to return things, I'd approve unless it was grossly old or against policy. Then there was this guy. This guy was in his 40s, probably, and at least 400 pounds, and he stunk. Anyway, he came to return underwear, used, obviously used.
That's just disgusting.
He said the waistband didn't last. Well, yeah, they were size 38 and he needed a 50 at least. I denied their return on sanitary grounds, that we couldn't return used undergarments for any reason. This was true. I made a mental note to bleach the counter when he left and turned to leave. I then heard the counter creaking. I turned to find 400 pounds of that guy trying to climb the counter to attack me, while wheezing that my 220 pound 6'2" skinny ass had insulted him, and he was gonna make me pay. Somehow he made it over the counter but landed face down on the other side. Still a bit shocked at what was going on, I put my foot on his back to keep him from getting up and called for management assistance. He was escorted out by the management and barred from the store for life. I got an extra 15-minute smoke break. I returned from break to find that guy's underwear still on the counter. No one wanted to touch them. I used the longest pair of tongs I could get from the kitchen area and threw the underwear and the tongs in the garbage compactor. By far the weirdest thing that has ever happened to me. Number 13. Alright, so I was working the register in the garden area of a small store. It was always really slow, and I don't think half of the other workers knew it existed. We had a ton of regular customers that we saw all the time. It was almost the opposite of what you think when you think Walmart. Anyway, it was in a very ethnic area of Southern California. Not a lot of English was thrown around. There was this one guy that was pretty fresh off the border. He was always super jazzed when he came in over all the shit there was to buy. He had been coming for a couple weeks. I don't think he ever spent more than $5 in a purchase. So one day, I see him come around the corner with the biggest jar of pickles I think we could legally sell, and this guy looked so goddamn amped about it. He slid up onto the counter and just stared at me. I was like, hell yeah man, that's how shit's done around here, and mentioned for him to bring it around so I could hit it up with the price gun. He had an awkward angle on it and drops it straight on the floor. Pickles start flying fucking everywhere. He looks at me like he just shot my dog or something, and then just starts blitzing for the exit. I mean, this guy was dipping so damn hard. I can guarantee it's the fastest he's ever ran. I come around out of the little register area and watch him lay rubber through the store. The exit in the garden center was like 10 feet away, but this guy heads for the exit on the other side of the store. I see him make it a good 70 or 80 yards and then turn the wrong way and run into the clothing department. It's a dead end and he realizes it immediately. He was like a deer caught in a coffee shop. At first he tries to duck behind the clothes racks, decides that's a terrible decision, and starts jetting in the other direction for the door, and after a good 45 seconds makes his great escape to freedom. No one knew what was going on. The manager starts freaking out thinking there was a shooting or something, and I'm just standing there watching it unfold. I'm not sure how to react to it all just yet. I turn around and look at the other customers in my line, and we have all came to the fairly unanimous decision that it's the funniest thing any of us will ever see. And no one ever knew about it aside from us. Maintenance came and mopped up the pickles, and it was never mentioned again. Number 12. I don't work at Walmart, but I went into Walmart to get something for my son. I asked the younger fellow in the game section if they had a wheel for the Wii U since my son had just gotten Mario Kart for his birthday and loves it, and asked for a wheel with the extra birthday money he had received. He walks me over to the section with all the controllers and starts beeping away on one of those handheld beeper price things. He drops the handle to his sides, looks up in the air, sighs loudly, and starts mumbling. Then out of nowhere shouts, "Fuck Linda, fuck you. You can go fuck yourself, you are so stupid." He turns to me and says the stupid cunt I work with has no idea how to do anything. He throws us what I can assume is a few $100 device on the ground, and it breaks into pieces, and storms off saying, "I'll be right back. I'm gonna go call that stupid bitch and put her in her place." I backed away slowly and left. I went to Target and got it. Number 11. Someone returned a mango to the store saying they didn't need it anymore. Was returned cut up into 3 different slices and stitched back together with scotch tape. Number 10. I used to work at Walmart in Northeast Tennessee, so I've seen my fair share of weird. People often show me the People of Walmart site, and I have to explain this was an everyday occurrence at that location. We had this particular family. We called them the incest family. Not very creative, but not the point. They would come into the store at least once a week. It was a middle-aged woman and what had to be her 2 brothers. They all looked exactly the same.
Their
Big
hair's
coat,
different.
bottom glasses, messy matted hair, and poor hygiene. The female, I use this term loosely, would kiss both of the other guys on the mouth while walking through the store.
Gross.
It was a strange relationship. They all held hands and were close and cuddly with each other. The worst part is, they smelled. I mean smelled. We're talking cat piss, vomit, and Britney Spears fantasy all rolled into one. They would walk through the Walmart on a crowded Saturday, and the ocean of people would part like Moses was standing on bottled water and holding his staff above the crowd. The places they walked would remain that way for a minute or so until this horrid odor disappeared and normal breathing could be had. I'm years away from that place, yet that memory still haunts me. I once had to sell them an answering machine, and that interaction is why I shower twice daily. Number 9.
Oh
Cousin was
shit.
back on stocking shift around the dairy place with all the yogurt and milk and cheese and whatnot. A few kids came by, about 12 or 13, and were getting jugs of milk, probably inspired by gallon smashing, and were looking around cautiously. But since they had people everywhere, the kids couldn't really do it and have the same appeal as gallon smashing had. These kids altogether probably had 5 or 6 jugs of milk, and my cousin comes by and asks them if they need help with anything. Time passes and the kids move to another aisle with their jugs while my cousin subtly follows them. In an aisle with no one around, a kid with a jug throws it onto the ground, and obviously the jug explodes and this kid slips into the milk. My cousin calls for a supervisor and tells them they'll have to pay for it. Well, since they're kids, they didn't want to, so they booked it. The kid at the front had 2 jugs and legitimately slipped, which made them both explode, and all 3 of the kids fell and were covered in chocolate milk. My cousin said it's the most justifying thing he's ever seen. Number 8. One time this woman saw some ice cream in one of our ads, and we didn't actually carry it because we aren't a super center. Needless to say, I almost got punched in the face. She couldn't fathom the idea of us not carrying this raspberry ice cream. She was talking like, "What? No, it's in your ad. Why? Where is it? It should be right here." After explaining in fine detail the reason we didn't carry it, she got right in my face and yelled at me at the top of her lungs. Her boyfriend just stood there and watched without emotion. She was most definitely cracked out on something. Number 7. It was Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was sort of just moping around like usual. I was a customer service manager, so anything that involved a crazy customer usually went through me first, and today was no different. A middle-aged lady came up to me and asked if I could page a certain customer because her elderly father was out in the truck and was screaming out of the truck door for someone to come find his daughter. Well, I paged and didn't get a response in the usual amount of time, so I went outside to see if I could give this guy some help with anything. I didn't make it past the first set of doors because I saw a commotion, and it took no time to figure out what the issue was. The elderly man was attempting to get out of the truck ass first and was, what appeared to be, taking off his pants. The lady that came in to ask me to page was apparently not the only person that had been concerned with this elderly gentleman screaming, because there was now, I shit you not, a police vehicle already there with its lights on, and there was an ambulance on its way into the parking lot. No one knew exactly what to do, so the emergency responders simply asked if he needed assistance and if he was safe and unharmed. The man, if he did in fact hear, made no acknowledgement of their presence. He continued to pull his pants completely around his ankles and shit what could only be described as a chocolate fountain turned upside down out of ass. It was a massive load of doo-doo and was basically liquid syrup and chunks of undigested items.
That's just
At this
nasty.
point, an additional ambulance had arrived and one fire truck. He shit for what seemed like ages before simply pulling his pants up, no wipe mind you, and slid back into his rightful place in the passenger seat. Not a single fuck given. The police went over to the window and made sure he was okay, and the paramedics went in and found his daughter, who was completely oblivious to the paging that had been occurring until she was already checking out. My manager at the time was standing next to me and turned to me and told me to run and grab the body fluids blood kit and some bleach off the shelf and go take care of that with the janitors. Both the maintenance person on the clock and myself refused outright. We both told her we were paid nowhere near enough to go clean that pool up. She must have known we were serious and simply grabbed the kit and did it herself. I felt bad for her, but I couldn't do it. It was hot outside, and I can only imagine the smell would only make me add to the mess. Number 6. Former Walmart employee, hope that counts. Not nearly as weird as some of these, but I watched a disgruntled employee spear 5 or 6 TVs with the forklift-like picker used to pull pallets off the top shelves in the back. He said he was sick of the job and had done everything he could think of to get fired, but wasn't having any luck. It was near Christmas, and they apparently needed people so badly he didn't get fired over this either. After coming back from a talk with the manager, he finished his shift, now banned from using anything bigger than a pallet jack, and when his shift was over, he said, "Fuck it, I'm not coming back. If that didn't get me fired, I don't know what will." Number 5. One time I was coming off break and passed 2 older men. They looked a little odd, but I could only glance at one of them at first, which caused me to stop and turn around. 2 men in what looked like their mid-50s with tan skins, wearing Bavarian barmaid dresses complete with shoes and pigtails, were walking through the store shopping. I made eye contact for a moment and got the most serious look from one of them. They were acting like it wasn't unusual at all. To this day, I'm not sure what was going on. There were no events in that area at that time where people would be dressed up. Number 4. Tail end of the academic year near a local sketchy university. 20-something comes in to return a futon. It's clearly been in use for several years, despite their protesting. At the time, if you pitched enough of a fit, a manager would put anything on a gift card for its current store value. Off the top of my head, I want to say $50, but it could have been $100. Anyway, this thing was disgusting. Every imaginable stain was clearly visible. To do this kind of no receipt return with no visible barcode, someone had to get a UPC and then the supervisor had to use a key to override or approve the return. This happened around 10:30 p.m. when your second shift is usually wrapping up.
I would never sit on the couch, to be honest.
This lady was on her break, so all the cashiers were milling around while I waited on someone to get the UPC or override the return. The whole time the cashiers are making fun of the futon and busting on its condition. All the while the customer is silently sitting there fuming as they take stabs at the mystery stains. The cashiers had no clue the customer was the individual associated with the futon. Anyway, the final cashier rolls up, takes one look at it and is like, "Are we taking this back? Are we taking this back?" I'm like, yeah, pretty much, to which she loses it. She goes off mentioning the most suspect stains. About this point, a manager walks up to key in the override. I complete the transaction and give the customer their gift card. All of the cashiers lose it, just laughing and pointing. The college kid storms out, furious. Totally worth it for the store to eat the futon for this kid to be embarrassed. Number 3. Saw a drugged out woman take a shit right on the little girl's toy aisle. Then she turned to some little Asian girl probably no more than 5 years old watching her and yelled at her, "Yeah, you want eat that up, don't ya? 'Cause your mama ain't putting food on your table no more." Number 2. I work at the customer service desk, so I've seen some pretty messed up stuff. But the following story is the most insane thing I've seen this week. A few nights ago, I was in a pretty bad mood. I had just found out that I am one science behind on graduating, so I have to take an extra class this fall. I'm pretty good at settling myself down, but if something goes wrong in that time, well, it spins me back up again. The lines are long, people are upset, but the night hasn't gone too terribly bad. There are 2 of us working the desk and one at the money center. A lady, possibly the grandmother, is carrying her little granddaughter, maybe, who is about the age of 2. She's doing a simple return and she actually had the receipt. For the majority of the duration of her little transaction, the little girl is yelling at the guardian that she needs to go pee-pee, but the grandmother, not wanting to stand in line again, insists that she holds it. All good so far. We get to the portion of the transaction where she receives her money and signs a slip saying the return is valid. The child then begins to pee. For whatever reason, this kid, no, not a baby goat, isn't wearing a diaper, so the urine begins to collect in a child-sized puddle on the desk. Instead of keeping the AOE to a minimum, the grandmother, in an act of desperation, swings the child in a broad circle to the right, causing pee to windmill around the desk and into the patiently waiting customers in line behind her. It was like a protractor but with pee, the nana being the pivot. Instead of offering to help clean, the lady runs out of the door with the baby and her cash, and she didn't even sign the receipt. Who cleaned it up, you ask? Well, due to the urgency of the situation, I collected a mountain of paper towels and an ocean of disinfectant and had to clean it up myself. Number 1. I worked at Walmart for about a year, but was not technically a Walmart employee. I was part of a company that handles the books and music. Anyway, I usually try to keep
Fake
to myself and
mustache.
never really talk to anyone. Every now and then there'd be a stray employee that would browse through the books, killing time I suppose, while I was stalking. This one guy would come by maybe once a week, chat for maybe 10 minutes and leave. He was a little weird, but never really creeped me out or anything. Mostly we just talked about what books we like or what was coming out soon. One day, he tells me that his ancestors are Cherokee Indians. At this point I'm thinking, yeah, sure buddy. Where I'm from, everyone claims to have a Cherokee background. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and freckles? Yep, gotta be Cherokee for sure. That's not the point of my story though. This man proceeds to explain to me that the other side of his family are Wood Elves, and that the Wood Elves had a close relationship with the Cherokee Indians. He proved this point to me by showing me how pointy his ears were. I could not think of a single thing to say to this guy, so I just kinda smiled and nodded in some sort of agreement. Walmart can be such a weird place. Got an idea for a top 15 list? Be sure.
Alright, that's gonna do it for this video. Sorry for the whatever happened yesterday, because I was trying to play MGS on Roblox and didn't go as far as I planned. But if you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe for more content, and turn on notification bell so you don't miss out any new video uploads. Comment below with any questions, any suggestions on what you want me to react, or what something you'd like to see next. Let me know in the replies, and I can reply to you right away. Thanks for watching.